I called my mom and said, I said like, Mom, I have no idea what to do. Like everything is shit as fuck. And I just like, I need to pay my bills. I have no idea. To the time I had to borrow 15K from a friend. So I paid it back.
To start a company.
To just like live, even though if it's cringe as fuck. So, but it works.
Get over the cringe.
Yes.
And then accept that invitation to go speak in New York for Replit, or
Yes.
go on that podcast,
Yes.
or post about your company numbers on LinkedIn and see what.
It's pretty cringe.
Yeah, you're making your own luck though.
A lot of enterprise clients that we have had the problem that they can't use a lot of SaaS platforms at all because the legal team won't like sign it. So the plan is to stay as small as possible, to have as much as AI agents as possible, and just like to stay lean and just like scale just the money, but scale not the people, even if a lot of people don't like that, but it's just the truth. It's really common that people think I'm a project manager or like just not the CEO.
In the second episode of the Found podcast, we are talking to Fenja Vespermann. Fenja is a co-founder and a CEO of Mimikry AI, which is a Hamburg-based company who is already working with enterprise clients and who helps them to build AI custom pipelines to generate creative assets. In this conversation, we also uncover what it means to be a female founder in a man-dominated AI world, how she's building her startup in public, and we are also talking a lot about AI. So make sure to grab a comfy chair and enjoy the conversation. Hi, Fenja, and welcome to the Found podcast. We're super excited to have you here with us today. And Fenja, you are a co-founder of Mimikry AI. You're also a CEO of the company. And just to get a better understanding what your company does, can you tell us in a few words, what do you do basically, and how did you come to this idea of founding the company?
Yeah. So what Mimikry does is we're building custom AI solution for enterprise and mid-sized companies. I know this sounds like a really complex topic, and it actually is. So I'm trying to make it as visually possible as possible for you. So what we do is what we saw back then when we worked in 3D in like film industries, where that there are a lot of possible bottlenecks about like production and stuff like that. So what we do with Mimikry AI, we're trying to build custom solutions for these clients to make it just like reducing costs, but also like making the quality as good as before. And we saw that a lot of SaaS companies that do like AI content production in particular can't like work at the pace and the quality that enterprise needs, especially when it comes to compliance reasons and stuff like that. So a lot of enterprise clients that we have had the problem that they can't use a lot of SaaS platforms at all because the legal team won't like sign it. So that's why. That's when we come in, and we're just trying to be as compliant and legal as possible.
Can you walk us through a typical example or like a typical use case where a company would approach you or you would approach a company and where you would see like, like a collaboration potential, or like what would be the touch points for you to work with those companies? Like one specific example from your customers that you had already.
Yeah, sure. Just let me think. I think just like use because it's really easy to tell. So for example, they have a bunch of different problems or like challenges. And for example, because they are so big, they produce en masse content production, but a lot of content that they produce are just like internally reasons. So which means like a lot of their content you will not never see in the content at all. So this is just for internal reasons to be effective as possible for like creative directors and stuff like that. So what they do is they just like take photos for their lookbook reasons, and then they just like having this for a structure for the actual shooting. And this is insane. This costs a lot of time, a lot of like money as well, and it doesn't require like a specific quality outcome, like the 100% outcome, because it's not necessary. So it's just like they need just internal like content and like photos of like the actual people with the clothing on, just for documentation before the actual shooting. So that's what we do, for example, to optimize these stuff. So it's a lot of the times it's more about like solving problems, even if they are not that sexy. So it's more like to see like, okay, what type of bottlenecks do you guys have? And then we can work around this and just like speeding this up without like, even if a lot of people say this, without losing this human touch. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think like one of your pitch basically is right to say to these companies that those LLMs or like image generating models right out there, they're like not good enough for you, right? So if you just basically like use them out of the box, then they will not like produce the results that you want to have, right? And you help them to build, like a system, like using different models, using different like touch points to help them like achieve the results that they want to have, right? I mean, I went through like your LinkedIn posts and I found it like quite funny actually to see where you're like posting about examples of companies who don't really pay enough attention to the assets that they produce, like with these generic image generating models, right? And then one specific examples like really stood out for me was like Colgate example, right, where they were like trying to produce a new visual asset, right, for their new toothpaste that they launched, right? And there were like some lines and some words which were like misspelled, right? And you sort of like ridiculed them by saying that, okay, guys, come on, such a big company, right? And even them, they just like don't pay enough attention to these things, right? So is this like what you're trying to achieve with Mimikry, basically, to help the companies, like use generative AI, use all the capabilities that we have right now, and to achieve like the results where they would be not ashamed of, right? In terms of like quality and output.
Yeah, definitely. But I also see like there's a huge problem with AI at all, right? So the reason or the vision why I founded with my partner, like Mimikry AI, is that we want to just solve bottlenecks, as I already told you, and also like just like using the expertise that we have from 3D and like film and agency back then, and just like integrating this into new system, new kind of way of just the content ecosystem kind of way. But I think the biggest problem that I see personally when it comes to AI content, for example, at Colgate, is that I think how it goes is like you have a social media team or you have an external social media agency and they're like, we need more content. And then someone goes, I don't know, okay, let's just like prompt something. It should work. And then they're like, okay, I don't care. Just like post it. But what it really does is I feel like it's bad because the brand itself feels less trustful. And especially when it comes to like a brand recognition, I think this is really bad for like marketing reasons. And we're trying to solve this because it is possible. People like say like often they say like let's try AI, it doesn't work, and then they're like AI is not there yet. But that's not true. So that's not true. It's like just you don't know how it works, and that's totally fine because this is a weird fact. Everyone's like, what is AI? So for me, is AI like a technology? It's not the AI. So there's no the AI tool. It's like just a term. It's just like a technology. I think this is a misconception. But yeah, so just to answer your question.
And I'm curious about your origin story a little bit as a founder.
Yeah.
So your background is 3D, you said? Animation, is
Yes.
it? Or so did you study graphic arts or 3D art? And then I'm curious as to the let's say the moment where you said, oh, AI is actually, there's really cool shit happening with AI and I want to build my own company. Like what was that?
You want a honest story?
Oh, I mean, please.
Of course,
This
yes.
is an authentic podcast where you can, yeah, please.
So back then, I made a traineeship in graphic design, and then I made a bachelor in 3D and animation, and then I started my own 3D company back then. I think I was 20, and then I just focused on that because I love 3D animation. It's like I still love it so much. I think it's absolutely insane what people can produce with tech. It's totally insane. But then Corona came, and it was really hard, especially for small agencies, of keeping up. This is just a fact. Especially if you have like big agencies, they're having like these million adverts and stuff like that. So it's really hard. And I personally came to a point where I had to choose if I want to stick to this plan of making 3D as a living, or just like change it. And then I know this is a cheesy story. I already posted it on LinkedIn because it sounds so fake, but it is true. You can ask my mom. I called my mom and I said like, Mom, I have no idea. I just like, I don't know. To the time I had to borrow 15K from a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I paid it back.
To start a company.
To just like live.
To just live. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you were vibe coding at night and just like trying to build your company like that. That's like the day
no,
zero,
it was like the moment when Corona hit. We didn't have any clients.
Oh, your
anymore.
studio shut down.
Yes.
And then, okay.
So, and I needed help from friends. They just offered me to help, and I already paid it back, everything and stuff. I was really happy about this. It was like an achievement moment for me because I'm like, it was hard for me to ask for money, by the way. So anyway, I called my mom and said, I said like, Mom, I have no idea what to do. Like everything is shit as fuck, and I just like I need to pay my bills. I have no idea. And she was like, maybe you just try something completely different. And I'm like, okay, what's that? So, and I talked with Noel, my co-founder now. And to this time, we both had like early access to Midjourney, like in beta. It was not published.
Discord, Midjourney.
Yes.
Back then.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
This was like what, early 2023? Late
I think
2022,
no,
right?
even more, even
earlier.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes. I think it was end of 2021. We were like in the beta, the first 500 users.
Oh right. Oh wow, crazy.
Because Noel just wanted to test it, of course. And I somehow have my first generation. That's insane. So, and then there was like in the same week, there were like a photographer that reached out to us and said like, oh, I saw there's like a Midjourney thing going on. Do you guys have access? We're like, yeah, I just want to make a photo shooting with like real models, but like changing the backgrounds. Is it possible? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. So, and then we just shooted everything and just like in a studio with like real models, real clothing and stuff like that. But the vision were they wanted to make like a Chinatown moment, so that the model's like walking in the Chinatown or something. We generated, I think, 5,000 images. It was bad. It was really bad. We had to make so much manually at all, like crazy. I have these because they wanted like extra wishes, you know how it is. They're like, we need taxis and like cabs. And I'm like, dude, this is Midjourney beta. What are you talking about? So we tried to make it work. Somehow it worked. We had to raise the caps, to be honest, spoiler. Yeah, but long story short, that's how the CI thing came. That's it. And we made the first money out of it. So, and then we're like, let's go in. What was the idea, actually?
And so what's I mean, this has gone like parabolic, right? The Gen AI, right? And replacing models
insane.
with I mean, the level of quality you see out there is pretty insane. Where do you stand as to the you know, how in danger are animators, models, creatives when it comes to AI? Or is it like a blend? You know, there's basically, for some purposes, AI is perfectly suited. For others, like for instance, I take photography. I do
really?
like
Nice.
as a hobby, and then I go to events sometimes and take pictures of a hackathon, let's say. But that's irreplaceable because you need someone there that's actually taking the moment and pictures, and you can't gen that. You don't want to generate that. But for others, like I mean, ads for fashion shoots, for instance, I mean, that's probably the use case you see a lot. Wasn't there a founder in Hamburg that was also doing that, like replacing models with
yeah, Amigen. I don't know if you heard of that startup. Paul, his name.
Right.
Exactly. So he's like working in a very similar domain, basically. He also like trying to help companies create like these creative assets. Let's call it that way.
Synthetic. He calls it synthetic
exactly.
models.
Yeah.
Good one.
But so what's your where do you see this trending, right? In terms of the creatives, and you said you come from animation, and that animators tend to also not like, or at least back then didn't like AI so much because they saw it more as a threat.
Yeah. It's a hard question, actually, because of course nobody knows what will happen in a couple of months, even though they say so. They don't know. So I see it that way. So I feel like when we talk about like classic agency environments, there are so many tasks that people do manually that is insane. So people like photoshopping backgrounds, like something like that, even though if they still already have automations and stuff, it's just not needed. So a lot of things are, in my opinion, not needed to make manually. A lot of people that I know that work in the creative industry are totally overwhelmed about the pace, about the pressure at work. And I see it as a possibility of making things easier and to rethink again what your expertise is. Because is your expertise of like, I don't know, like changing backgrounds every day? No, just like totally weird to do. But when you're a creative person, you want to do something cool, is it? So I feel like I see it more as a possibility of like I'm using that. To answer your question more, like I think there will be definitely more and more like hybrid solutions because at the moment we, for example, we work with a Hollywood film department for like producing like a movie for Cannes for next year. And what we do there is basically we just like there's a bridge of 3D, of AI, of automation, of manual work, but it's more like to speed things up. So I feel like the people that have the knowledge, for example, like know how to make a composition lovely, because you make photos, is really gonna make a huge difference. So in what I see online when there's a difference what I see online. So for example, when a 3D animator or stuff like that or photographer like makes AI content, it's way more accurate, it's way more detailed because they know how to make it nice. And I think that's as an opportunity. That of course there will be a lot of things and tasks that will, of course, will be replaced. This is just a fact. But I feel like this is just like an ecosystem thing. This is how, just like an industry changes. Yeah.
Who are your customers, and what's a client like a classic client case, like when you go in to work with an Adidas you mentioned, like do you work with the marketing department, like they have like clear campaigns they want to run but it's too long, it's too expensive, help us inject AI?
Depends on. It depends on. So we have like two main cases. One is like just marketing teams, or we have like innovation teams that are like we search for the right solution, we can't find it, so that's why we like get in touch with you guys to tell us what we need to do. It really depends on the bottleneck. So 90% of the clients that come to us say, we already tested AI, it doesn't work for us, we will definitely much likely give up unless you tell us how we do it. So that's the basic case that we have. They're like, okay, we tested it, it doesn't work, it's bad, we are really scared of using it, we don't want to destroy our reputation. And I think this is an honest take, and it's really important. And then what we mostly do is we're starting to take a look on the data sets at all, because we're trying, as I told you, to be as custom as possible. That means we are just like searching for the product data, 3D CAD files, like brand guidelines, everything type of data they have. But most of the time, they don't have this in a really good structured way. So this is a huge problem for us, obviously, because you more data you have, especially in AI, the more accurate you can be. If you don't have it, this is a problem. So we are like sometimes like working, it's really sketchy. For example, we had a client that are like, they go like, yeah, so we have like 10,000 images every month. We need to automate these e-commerce pictures for our website. So that's all. It's like for supermarkets and stuff. And they're like, we don't have the CID. We had just like pictures or like drawings, like hand drawings. So this is sometimes like a problem. So the main challenge that we have for like building this content systems for them is to standardize their data. So this is like at least 40% of the work that we have, because the people they say like, we want to have this quality. It needs to be as good as possible. But this is a problem, right? So this is a really huge part. So we're like, what type of data you have, where we can reach out to and stuff. So that's a thing. And after that, we are able to say like, okay, these are the bottlenecks. Now we have these data, and let's just build up a system that works for you.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned quite a few companies that you worked with, right? Like Adidas. I think your website also says that you work with BMW.
Yes.
And Replit, right? I mean, quite big companies, right? You are just 1 year old as a company. How come that you landed such huge accounts? What's the process there? I mean, a lot of like founders out there, they would be just like dreaming of, like working with clients like that, right? In their like first year. That seems like, such a big shot. And how did you manage that?
I think this is a complex answer, because as you guys know, I already started being self-employed since a couple of years ago. So I worked in 3D in production. So I have a network in like knowing people about in this stuff. Because we started that early with like exploring AI, people reached out to us, even though we hadn't a website or stuff like that. It was like we want to try AI. It was a lot of recommendations, which is obviously the nicest compliment. And we work in collaboration sometimes with like innovation studios, for example, like Bridgemaker. We work with them together. They have like pitches. But to be honest, I just like went to so many events, talked to so many people, especially to women. I was always saying like, do you have, and every person I used to meet, I will ask like a question, do you have a contact that helps us? Even though if it's kind of cringy for me to ask too, it always is, because I'm like, I do not want to feel like to be that person, but I know it makes sense. So I do it. So, and then this is what I do every time. And then I just like, I don't know, we sometimes when I have a brand I want to work with, we like just texting them, just like, I don't know, sending packages to them. We just like to be really experimental, even though if it's cringe as fuck. So, but it works. And to be honest, we also had luck. So this is, I think it's really important to say that. So for me, it's like, I'm not the type of person that says with a microphone here and says like, you can do everything you want to in like 1 year, because that's not true. We have a network, we have like support systems, we have people that believe in what we do. And this is of course easier, not like really easy, but it's more doable than maybe other people.
Yeah, not an overnight success, right?
No, it isn't.
Against all the fluff that you hear like in social media, right?
No, it isn't. Yeah. And I feel that's really important for me to say, because there's always a little bit luck between, even though if I push really hard and I just do all this weird stuff, I really do every day. But it's fine. And you get used to it, to be honest.
Get over the cringe.
Yes.
And then accept that invitation to go speak in New York for Replit, or go on that podcast, or post about your company numbers on LinkedIn and see what.
It's really cringe.
Yeah, you're making your own luck though. That's kind of the worst thing I think is to stay idle or just wait, or like it's not gonna happen, right? Like you need to. I mean, people like to know how sausage is made. I mean, beyond the revenue figures, I think. Like we're asking you now, right? How is it to work with those big brands? Like lift the hood and show underneath, like what is it like to actually inject AI into one of those big organizations, right?
That's really easy. The answer is it's not really glamorous. It's totally normal. Like, and it's, of course, I can say that because I'm in this position now, but I can tell you, I'm not saying names now, but I can tell you that most of the times the clients that are the most fun to work with are not the ones with the biggest names. They're like, oh, maybe just like do it. And then we are like, after 1 month, it's like, oh, that's fun. That's cool to work with. So it's a huge challenge of applying and integrating AI solutions into enterprise. This is a huge, it's also a huge opportunity, but it's also really complex. Of course, if you take a look onto Europe, the time when I get scheduled a meeting, it's like 3 months later. So it's like the
speed is not there.
The speed is not there. So at the moment, we focus on building more in America because I also have a co-founder, Irada Svetlana. She lives in New York City, so that's why we have these connections there. So, and at the moment, the pace there is totally different. So we're like having people that reach out and say like, hey, we just want to test it. Do you want to come over? We just like doing that. So it's way more easier to pitch. I don't know why. I do not want to bash Europe. That's not what I'm here because I love Europe. I think it's a great place. But it's just true. It's just a little bit easier to like to pitch. People understand the need a little bit more, or like be more riskful of like trying and just maybe losing money. I don't know.
Let's pull on that thread a little bit, because I mean this is something you hear all the time, right? Like founders or VCs comparing Europe to America. The risk-taking appetite and just the due diligence is oftentimes like in Europe, it's slow, right?
Yeah.
It's slower. So have you thought about leaving Hamburg and just going where the action is and just building where the actual opportunities are, where the money is? Or you, like you, I love Europe, but I'm not a founder that's 1 year in, that's just about to hit, speed in terms of traction. So
let me say that I will definitely not live in America soon. Definitely not. I'm not planning on moving there. I think do not want to say something that's gonna get me into USA now, but
you can be politically incorrect. All good. That's why we have this space here.
Yeah, I do not want to live there. But what I think about this debate, and I know a lot of people would disagree now, is for me, I have the opportunity and being able of traveling a lot. So, and yeah, I get the point. I get there are different ecosystems, different opportunities in Berlin, Munich, whatever, I don't know. Because we are like working abroad and we are like full remote, I don't see, I mean, maybe I just like don't see something, but I don't see the value if I do not want to move somewhere just for this, because why should I? It's fine for us here. We like make money, as you know. So
your customers in Germany? Or most?
So almost like we starting to talking. Yeah, we just at the moment talk with a lot of US based companies now, with a bunch of them. But at the moment is of course because of your local Germany based. Yeah.
Okay. And Hamburg, you're building out of Hamburg. You said you're remote, so does it play no role at all in terms of how you got started with your business, the local AI ecosystem, other companies, support network, female founders? Has Hamburg played a role in your setting up and growing your company, or not at all?
So to be honest, not really.
Okay.
Because I feel like, I think we talked about this before. I feel like Hamburg has a lot of opportunities, but I feel like often we do not have the right rooms of getting the right people together. Because we are not searching for, I don't know, a venture or something, or like raising soon. Maybe that's also the reason why. I mean, I know a lot of people in Hamburg that work at, I don't know, PVC or something, or like venture studios as well. And I always get invited to like, I don't know, hackathons and stuff like that. But I feel like it could be easier in a kind of way.
What could be easier?
It could be easier in Hamburg when there would be more communities on not making even more events, like maybe also back from the Hamburg like ecosystem as well, and like just like finding more, just like building more spaces for them.
Opportunities.
Yes, because I mean, like we have 3 clients that are based in Hamburg as well.
Okay.
But this is just like, I think because I already knew them. Yeah, that's it. So, and then we have like a different like companies that we also work with that are just like spread over Germany. But yeah, and because everything is so much remote, a lot of times it's not necessary, I feel. But I feel like there is a difference, especially when we get more inbounds now. Most of the time, the inbound is Hamburg-based. So that's what I see.
You also mentioned that, you're bootstrapping your company, right? Is this like a deliberate decision that you made, right? Not to try to chase like that VC money, and also like your business model, right? You're still more or less like an agency kind of like business, right? I mean, you're not like building a product which can be like where you have like a subscription. You charge customers per project, as far as I understood, right? And then you want to keep on bootstrapping your company. Why are you doing that? I mean, don't you think that it's slowing you down, not like attracting that VC capital and basically, running behind all the other players who are, more enabled with that money, who can get more speed, develop faster, bring in clients faster, whatever. So why you decided to bootstrap your company?
Yeah. So first of all, we are trying to not position us as an agency. We just like trying to position us more as a tech studio provider in a kind of way, because the way we operate internally are way different than from a traditional agency. So what we do is, and that's why we don't have that much like external cost that we have to make, is once we set everything up, we are able to. So the goal is always to have the most autonomous workflows as possible. So for example, we have a bunch of different clients that once we set this up, we just need like a little bit of maintenance hours. That's all. We don't need everyone for this. So the plan is to stay as small as possible, to have as much as AI agents as possible, and just like to stay lean and just like scale just the money, but scale not the people, even if a lot of people don't like that, but it's just the truth. And that's how it works, actually.
How do you use agents? I mean, in general, you're AI native. You could say your company is. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? Like, what's your setup? How do you work with AI? Like, what are your internal tools, maybe?
Yes. I saw the question in the outline, and I thought about this really long, because it was like, I can't sit here as an AI like company and say like Claude Code, because this is boring as fuck.
Yeah, but you do use Claude, I'm sure.
I do. We do use Codec a lot. So what we do is we have so many different, like, I don't know, things that have, I'm sure you have this as well, like tasks and things that we have to do on a daily basis that are just boring, sucks, and whatever. So for example, what we did last couple of weeks, we just like build up our own accounting and like just accounting tool. The plan is to make this more. This is just an internal thing. It's not be sold to everyone. It's just like for us to make our work easier, and just like for invoices, quotes, whatever. And then the plan is to plug it with different other features as well. This is just like a type of funny thing to build for internally structured things, what we do. And Codex is a lot of it's a really great tool, because the coding is really nice, even though it's way more expensive. And then Noel could be say a lot of more cool tools, but I don't know, maybe he would say like none, because he hates a lot of them. But we most of the time, because Comfy is also an official partner from us, the ComfyUI is just like a platform, just like it's type like just like a node-based platform, where you can just like build your AI workflows from scratch. That's how we work, actually.
And it's open source, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's what we do what we use every day. That's a part of our work. That's why we are able to be really custom, and just like having different APIs running. Noel is always like building nodes on our own as well, so you can download them on Comfy.org as well. So we collaborate with them. But yeah, that's a kind of way what we do, even though it's a little bit of a boring answer, I feel.
Okay. No. What's next for Mimikry? Not a lot of headcount, more money, international expansion.
So as I told you guys, we're just like traveling to New York City next month, which is crazy. I've never been there. It was my first time. I'm really excited. A little bit scared as well, but that's the fun.
What's the event, by the way?
It's
The
like,
reason you're going there?
yeah. So you know, Replit, like it's a custom vibe coding company where you can do with some things, and they want to position themselves a little bit more as a cool startup that do like fancy events in New York City, and they plan doing 2-day hackathon. It's called VibeCon, and they have really nice speakers and different installations and stuff like that. And we are building a custom AI solution, just like physical AI solution actually, which is kind of weird.
What is that?
Okay.
Robots.
Yeah.
No, that's not. But it's like they wanted to have like an open venue and to produce something special when you come into this venue. So what will happen is you get into the venue and then you have like a large LED screen, and then you have like 2 iPads in front of you, and then you can just like prompt anything and you want to, I don't know, and then it generates in real time. So this is important for the experience. You can it will generate in real time your custom made little house, and then it once it's generated, it animates, and then it gets plug and play onto the LED wall. And the plan is to have, because the attendees will be like 600 people or something per day, and then the plan is to plug and play, and then we have like a huge wall of like having these tiny houses for every person, from every person. And the idea is, there's their idea of like symbolizing you can build everything custom for you. So that's what we do. And even though it's not the common thing that we normally do, it shows what's possible when you do something custom in a kind of way, because it's custom produced for them, just like having like a, yeah, that's also possible.
And Mimikry trajectory in terms of the next 6 months, 12 months, where do you see your most of your time, and what's the arc looking like ahead?
So we have a bunch of different like and also important like calls at the moment with like really big companies. And what we do and what we would love to do is to have a enterprise or like a mid-sized company to make a full rollout, because at the moment we have just like part rollouts or like pilot projects, a lot of course, and we want to just like have the opportunity of spread this completely. Maybe it makes more sense of making this mid-sized, but also a lot of focus on the American market, because obviously, as I told you, it's much easier like traveling a little bit, and also like having a little bit more of speaker events and stuff like that. So, and I'm coming in a magazine. That's cool.
Oh, which one?
You will see.
You will see. Okay,
This
it's
is-
still okay. Already a secret, right?
Yeah, I still wait on the final yes. That's why.
Okay.
Fingers crossed, because it would be so cool.
Maybe like one you should know, like in terms of maybe not your customers, but in general companies that you know are leveraging AI to produce creative assets and content publicly. Do you have any like I would say a gold standard in terms of leveraging AI, or cool campaigns you've seen recently that?
I think that Jacquemus started off doing AI-powered things. I feel like this is definitely well done. Regarding tools, I have to say I'm really picky, and I'm really like have to say like it's really hard for me of like finding a tool that I really like, because I tested so much. I think like, to be fair, they're a competitor from us, but I see their work and I think they're doing amazing. Is Graswald AI. I know them not personally, but I know their story. And fun fact, they started as I think at the 3D asset library back then a couple of years ago. I use their assets every day. So that's why I know them, and I think they're doing amazing, even though they do similar stuff, but they focus on fashion. We just focus on just like general like scalability. So that's a difference. But I think they do amazing actually, and they have their own platform, and I think they're not that bad actually. So yeah. And then just like regarding a tool that I really don't like, if you want to ask.
Sure, go ahead. What would that be?
Okay, this is easy. This was easy for me. But Higgs field AI?
Okay.
Because not only I think it's kind of weird how they promote and advertise their things about like really weird sexual assets or like ads or something. I really don't like that. But also, a lot of times it doesn't work. Like, so a lot of the times people say to us, what do you do different than Higgs field AI or something like that? Dude, it's like you're an AI rapper. That's it. So I don't take you seriously. I'm sorry. So because I'm a little bit sassy, I know, but it's like it's really hard for me to take them seriously because I feel like for me, it just feels like they focus on like scalability, which is fine, of course, because this is like a lot of startups do. But I don't like it when you just like forget about the ethical part at all. So that's one of the reasons why I founded Mimikry AI, because I want to find and develop solutions that are as ethical as possible. Rethink about like how we can integrate AI without like just like scrapping every image on the website from websites and internet, and that's it. So finding solutions. Do we have to show faces in AI fake? How do we handle that? So, and that's why this is even though if you do similar things, it's a different vision, I feel.
Do you work with Black Forest Labs at all? You don't have to say if you like them or not.
No. Yeah, so we did in a couple of months ago sometimes. They have a type of nice models that we use sometimes, but I feel like, so I personally think the founders team is amazing. I think that's really cool and really like, it's amazing what they build, especially in Germany. That's cool. Sometimes we use like different things, but a lot of the times it's not the best model on the market. So that's why we stick into different things.
I have another one. I don't know if you do, but being a female CEO, especially in enterprise AI, advantage, disadvantage, doesn't matter at all. What would you say?
Both, actually.
Both an advantage and okay.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes it's an advantage because especially women come to me and say like, it's so refreshing, it's so cool, and we want to do this even more with you. And sometimes it's a disadvantage because most of the times I'm in a room with a lot of men, which is totally fine for me. But it's really hard when people think I don't know. It's really common that people think I'm a project manager or like, just not the CEO. Okay. So a lot of times when I come in and people don't know us at first, people think automatically Noel is the CEO. Mm-hmm. So in this sometimes it's a little bit weird, but yeah.
Does geography like play a role in this specific case? I mean, would you be like perceived more seriously, for example, in the States as opposed to Germany, or like is it basically?
Interesting question. Mm-hmm. Interesting question. Never thought about that. I think I don't see it. Mm-hmm. Maybe yes, but I'm not sure. I mean, it happens definitely in Germany even more. Okay. That's what I noticed. Maybe because especially like the ICP that we have is obviously, they are huge, right? So, and a lot of the times in the pyramid there are just men at the top. So, even though if there are a lot of men that I used to know are like really supportive and say like, hey, let's do it even more now with you guys. I feel like sometimes in America it's a little bit less. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. I don't know. Maybe it just didn't happen because.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Fenja, for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Great to talk to you. And thanks for accepting on such short notice.
Thank you.
And we'll keep an eye out for your LinkedIn and future developments of Mimikry. And all the best in New York next month, right?
Yes.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you so much, guys.
Cool. Had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thanks.
If you like this episode, there's more coming. So please like and subscribe to the Found Podcast. And
yeah, until the next one.
Yeah, that's good.
See you.